Are you a fan of horror movies?
We can't hear you.
Let's try this again. Well. My microphone was muted.
I'll tell you, somebody that's supposed to be a professor, you can't work technology very well, can you? Some professor.
Wow. Welcome, everybody, to the Pwz Presents NWA Spotlight. This is episode number 3, and we've got some fun stuff to talk about, as always, regarding the past, present, future, the legacy of the National Wrestling Alliance. Micky Biggs, the benefactor, if you will. How are you tonight?
Living the dream, my brother. Living the dream. Just got done with the other podcast in the gorilla position, and lots of chaos over there tonight.
I see. I was watching along. Why don't you give us a little idea about what you do with the other podcast?
Yeah, the other podcast called In the Gorilla Position. I'm the producer of it. It's hosted by the one and only Boston bad boy Jason Rumble, my brother from another mother, my former, I don't even want to say former, my Brotherhood member. And as we all know, for the Brotherhood, we ain't having fun, so you got to dial 911. Former NWA Junior World Heavyweight Champion, and he'll be on the show here one of these days, coming up soon.
I'm looking forward to it. Guardian of Chaos Big Daddy is in the chat. How's it going, my man? Glad to see you here. So, Micky, I guess we can start off with you watched NWA Powerrr this week?
I did. As I told you earlier, I wasn't highly impressed with some of the stuff that was going on. I did like Tim Storm stepping up, and I liked the words that the Masterpiece had to say.
He's coming after that title with the against Jack Stain.
And it's funny, we were just talking about that last week.
Yes.
And, wondering was he going to step up and go after that title? And he was all excited about the fact that Chris Adonis was challenging him, and then the minute he mentioned the Master Lock Challenge, he just backed off and walked away. So
yep, which is interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. So. And it just seemed like he started coming up with some excuses at that point. Be like, oh, well, the belt can't be defended on a challenge, this, that, and the other thing. No, and just walked away. So that kind of spoke volumes to where his head is when it comes to Chris Adonis.
It's going to be an interesting story to see how Chris Adonis gets to that belt again, or get to the getting a title shot to against Jack Stain, who. I know we discussed it last week, and I think we discussed about how who may take that belt. I thought of former champion Anthony Mayweather, et cetera. But after this week, I think that Jack Stain is probably going to hold it for a little while longer than I originally anticipated.
Yeah, I kind of think the same thing, and I can see they're going to develop that storyline between him and Chris Adonis a little bit.
Yep.
And it's definitely going to be a nice match when it comes to Fruitation. They're gonna put on a heck of a show.
Right. As you said, we didn't really discuss the Cardona and Tim Storm match. It went a little bit too short for my liking. Tim Storm just kind of treated like another, older veteran, I guess, that just got squashed in relatively a few minutes.
I partially agree. I do like the resolve that he was showing at the end when he kind of egged Cardona on, was just like, come on, come at me again. Yeah. And then of course, Nick Aldis came in and kind of made the save, which I think that Nick Aldis is a great wrestler. I think he was a great NWA World Champion, but I think the storyline between them two is kind of getting stale now, and they need to move on from that. And put somebody else into that. Whether it's give Trevor Murdoch his return match, or if it's to give Pope his match that he just called Cardona out on.
I think the Murdoch situation is still developing because he's got this new attitude, and it doesn't seem. Some weeks it seems like yes, he is upset and wants to go for that title. Other weeks they don't really put it in that direction, if it makes sense. It seems like it's not necessarily going to go that way. Until this past week, I think yesterday's show, I think that was mentioned a little bit more. I'm interested to see because it seems like they don't necessarily want to turn Murdoch heel, but it is potentially a thing that's going to happen with Murdoch.
I think it's a little more than potential, and I love how Aaron Stevens and him had that little confrontation, if you will. That was quite entertaining, actually.
Yeah.
Speaking of Aaron Stevens, I haven't seen him in a while, so that was good to see him.
I didn't think about it until you mentioned it. He hasn't been on the NWA TV in I think since the new tapings have started.
I think the last time I actually saw him on NWA TV was when he was wearing his karate gi and doing a little karate master.
He was there for a while after. Yeah, and he held the tag titles with the Kratos. He was actually in the Crockett Cup.
Oh, yes, that's right. I do. Yes, yeah. That's right. I didn't think of that. You're right.
All right. So Rhett, Titus, and Darius Lockhart. I thought this was a great technical match, which ended up going to a double DQ because the two combatants would not listen to the referee. I thought it was just a great technical match. I think Rhett Titus is great.
It was a really good match.
It was basically a typical World of Sport style catch as catch can wrestling match for, I don't know, probably went about 8 minutes or so.
Yeah, and you're right. They just wouldn't listen to the referee, and that was the end of it. I mean, that was one of those matches that was. If you like old school wrestling, then you enjoyed that match.
Yes.
If you are into the high spots and you're a high spot, freak, then that's not a match for you. You're that. If you're that high spot person, you're the one sitting there chanting, "This is boring. This is boring." And to me, I mean, that's. I was talking a little bit earlier to Rich Arpin, as everybody knows, the former NWA president, and we were talking about how me coming up in the business, I came up old school. I was trained by Ox Baker. I came up old school. I love old school. And for me to sit there and watch a match like that, oh my God, it was just incredible.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this match. I think way more than I expected. I don't think that I really thought that Darius Lockhart could work the way that he did. Like working that catch can style.
Absolutely. I mean, it was just overall, even though it ended in the way that it did, overall, I think it was probably the best match on the card.
Yeah. All right, now I got to fast forward through some of this. The Body Slam Challenge.
I'm telling you, more and more, it's reminiscent of the John Studd Challenge.
Yes. Yeah.
It really is.
I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying.
And what would be interesting if you took Titus and put him in the ring against John Studd in his prime. I mean, that would be a great match.
I mean, Darius.
Yeah, that would be a great match.
Yeah.
That would be a phenomenal match.
I wouldn't. That'd be like big man versus big man. That would hurt, I think, to watch. I mean, maybe in 1984, 1985, it might be something, modern days. I don't know. Are a lot of fans interested in that kind of style? Personal opinion.
I mean, let's look at it. I know this is an NWA show, but let's go back to WWE.
We'll talk about anything on this show.
And look at Omos. I mean, he's over. he's over. So the fans are into that, but the question is, would the NWA fans be into that? That's the bigger question.
Right.
We're talking that, WWE, where it is that Hollywood Disney version of professional wrestling, versus what is truly historical, valued professional wrestling. Those fans may not appreciate something like that just because of the content of that type of match. But me personally, I think it would be a great match to watch if they could work the match correctly.
Right. I get you. Did you get to, and I know, like you said, this is an NWA show, but I want to go back. I want to ask you about Monday Night Raw. Did you get a chance to watch it this week?
No, I don't watch Monday Night Raw, actually.
Yeah, I don't watch it much, but I did watch it this week. I thought that it was quite interesting that MVP turned heel on Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, I did see the highlights of that.
Yep.
I kind of saw that coming, though.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of saw that coming, a little while back, and knew that was going to happen at some point. But did I think they were going to put him with Omos? No, but that's a good choice.
Yep.
Next to Paul Heyman, MVP is probably the best talker in the WWE right now.
Okay. You're probably right. I think you're right with that. I have a feeling that am I freezing my computer, my video? All right.
Your video's not freezing, but you're out of sync. Like, you'll say something and it'll come. Your mouth will move like after you've already said it.
Yeah, I've noticed. I find that weird using StreamYard. It didn't do that before. Probably going to use my different laptop next time. But anyways, this is another story. Let's see what else we got here. We're going to move on. We discussed the Body Slam Challenge. How did you think that went?
I mean, for what it was, like I said, it's reminiscent of the whole, John Studd.
Yeah.
I'm curious to find out what was said to make him kind of like lose his focus a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could see he was visibly not focused anymore on that third try and that third attempt. And I'm just curious as to what it was that he did say. But at the same time, his actions to the way that it ended, that didn't surprise me a bit.
Right.
So.
All right. So, any other NWA news coming up from your end?
Like I said, you got this weekend is NWA USA. Looking forward to that. It should be pretty good. Just a lot of things going on with the NWA, and I'm looking forward to see what the future holds for them.
Yeah.
We were just talking on the other podcast that Matt Cardona, even as much as I can't stand him, as much as I don't think he should be the NWA World Champion, but how he has made such a name for himself over the past few years and doing a lot of self-promotion. We were actually making the comment of him returning back to the WWE. And Jason made the prediction that you would see him back in the WWE come 2023 as a surprise participant in the Royal Rumble.
I think if he returned to the WWE and seeing him in the Royal Rumble, that's the extent of where we would see him. I don't think we'd ever see him again. I don't think we'd see him as like a full-time or even part-timer. Being maybe a Royal Rumble entrant might be about the extent of it. And he also said that he's never doing anything under the name Zack Ryder again either.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. He can go back to WWE as Matt Cardona.
But then again, money talks, right?
And well, I mean, good example of that is Cody Rhodes.
Yes, 100%.
And the thing about it is, at some point, because I don't know if you heard the entire interview that Billy Corrigan did, but he was saying that right now Matt Cardona is what's best for the NWA.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that I agree with that, but in some ways he's right. In some ways he is best for NWA.
As a business decision, I think it's what is right. I mean, he's out there and he's getting a lot of publicity. I don't think it's anything wrong. Am I a huge Matt Cardona fan? No, not really. But I think that a business decision, I think it's a good decision.
Business-wise, yes. But I don't know. I think they could have given him the national title or the TV title or something like that, and he could have done just as well with that as he is the NWA World title.
Okay.
But that's just my opinion.
Right. I'm gonna have to. I don't know. I'm just saying that I think that the NWA World title is the most prestigious title in professional wrestling. We've discussed this before, and I just think that him as the world champion, it helps put eyes on the NWA that might not necessarily be watching regularly. And I think we've mentioned that a couple episodes back.
Actually, we talked about that last week, and I had made the comment that, yeah, you're absolutely right. But like I said last week, I'm afraid that once he's not the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, what's going to happen to that fan base that's there just because of Matt Cardona?
Yeah, some people might get turned on by the NWA or tuned in.
Oh, absolutely.
Or,
I agree with that. I agree that that's a possibility.
Right. Is
it a probability? I don't know. We'd have to wait and see what happens with that.
We'll have to find out exactly coming down the road. One thing I want to mention, if anybody listening this Saturday, 11 a.m., right here on the PWZ YouTube channel and Facebook and Twitch, Paradise Alley presents the Alley Fights, Episode 6. I'm going to list off the matches here, and I want everybody to tune in. My man Micky Biggs is in this episode. It's going to be the Haven taking on Hustle and Muscle. Lou Jacobs take on Adrian Santos. Jay Baker takes on Hunter Tarka. And Travis Jacobs against Sean Venor. And a very special interview with the benefactor, Micky Biggs. Apparently my tongue's tied trying to say Micky Biggs.
And that's all right, because, all I do have to say about that is Thomas the Tank, or Thomas the Train, whatever he wants to call himself.
Hey.
He just better watch out that next time I don't derail him.
Don't forget, tune in this Saturday, 11 a.m., every Saturday morning, 11 a.m., because there's going to be episodes going on for each and every single week. Tune in. So what else, Micky Biggs? Now that we got that current NWA subject out of the mat, out of the loop, we're done with that. I'm going to talk some NWA New England. You remember NWA New England, correct?
Oh, how could I forget them? That's where I got my start with the NWA.
I was doing a bunch of research today, and I said, hey, this would be a really great subject to bring up tonight, because outside of the weekly content that the NWA produces now, to me, it just wasn't enough. I wanted to bring up something. In 1989, Tony Rumble started the Century Wrestling Alliance. He had left IWCCW and started the Century Wrestling Alliance, and a huge list of superstars went with him or joined with him. WCCW, formerly ICW, was run by the Savoldis, and it kind of dropped many levels, and Century Wrestling Alliance kind of took its spot as the number one independent in the New England area. Absolutely. Features such guys as Surfer Ray Odyssey, Vic Steamboat, Tony Atlas, who was a former ICW champion, Tasmaniac, the future Taz, Tommy Dreamer, and the Public Enemy, as well as established veterans such as Metal Maniac, Al Snow, Tom Brandy, Let's see, I'm trying to. Rick Fuller and guys like Slick Wagner Brown made appearances. Eric Spracia and Knuckles Nelson. So it ended up eventually by, I think, if I remember correctly, in 1996, 1997, it had joined the NWA and changed to NWA New England. And they'd become also an affiliate with ECW for a brief year in 1996 as well, and swapped talents. Sheldon Goldberg also got his start in the working with this NWA New England as well. As he at that time he was only a newsletter publisher. What else? What do you have to offer around this time period, Mickey? Before I go any further.
Oh boy, yeah. I mean, there was a lot going on with the NWA New England at that time. You know, a lot of good people went through there, as you named off a bunch of them. One of them, you know, became really good friends with, and one of them was actually a member of the Brotherhood with me, and that was Big Rick Fuller. And you know, Rick was a heck of a guy. He had kind of left the NWA for a little bit, and then, you know, reemerged. He had spent some time in WCW, but yeah, I mean, it was a great company to work with, great company to work for. And then, of course, you know, upon Tony's passing, you know, Jason Rumble took over. The Boston Bad Boy Jason Rumble took over, and you know, he kept promoting it as the NWA New England, stayed part of that membership of the NWA, and brought it to completely new heights. He was promoting what was known as the Tony Rumble Memorial Battle Royal, which I can say in 2002, live in Woonsocket, Rhode Island, I became the Tony Rumble Memorial Battle Royal champion. And that was the night that I joined the Brotherhood. And, you know, the list just goes on and on with the people that have walked through the doors and walked through that curtain and shared locker room with the NWA New England. And I can't speak highly enough of what they accomplished and what they did with the NWA brand.
And let's see here, in 1998, NWA New England was represented at the NWA 50th anniversary. So NWA 50th anniversary show, which was held in Cherry Hill's Crystal Ballroom in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. The match featured, represented by NWA New England, was Trey, Ray Odyssey, and the Inferno Kid for the NWA New England Junior Heavyweight Championship. Would lasted just about 12 minutes and ended by a countout, allowing Trey to retain the title. And then their Brotherhood, Eric Spracia and Knuckles Nelson, defeated NWA World Tag Team Champions, NWA All-Stars, the Border Patrol, in an interpromotional match featuring other such teams. So NWA New England was represented quite well in the 50th anniversary show.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you know, now I know for a brief period they ended up going on and becoming titled NWA Cold Front. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, so what had happened with that was the Boston Bad Boy Jason Rumble had actually, from my understanding, had decided to make his home further up north, further in New England, into the Maine area. And they had decided that, you know what, we're still going to run NWA. We want to rebrand it as NWA Cold Front. And they did. And although they had some success as NWA Cold Front, I don't know that it was the same success as they had when it was NWA New England. At that time, I wasn't with the NWA at that time. At least not, you know, the New England territory. I was off doing other things with other territories and other independent promotions at that time. That's when I was really getting big into my my old podcast. So I don't know a lot about the NWA Cold Front as far as a company's concerned. I do know that they rebranded because of that move. I'm trying to remember when that was. I don't even know when that was exactly. I think it was. Let me take a look here real quick. I think they became NWA Cold Front in like 2008. I think it was
Yeah, it's kind of
2009.
hard to read. It's kind of hard to find a date as far as when that actually happened.
I'm just trying to see here. Tony Rumble died
So
in
it looks like
2000.
it ran up until about 2006 as a promotion. Nope, 2007. Excuse me. So okay, I got it here. It was NWA Cold Front from 97 till about 2007. There's no real date that it became Cold Front.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know exactly when it became Cold Front. But I do know that eventually they dropped the NWA brand altogether and went back to being the Century Wrestling Alliance. And then it ended up going from the Century Wrestling Alliance to what was known as the Bell Time Club, where Jason Rumble and Bo Douglas were the head trainers. And now the Bell Time Club still runs in the Massachusetts area and still trains wrestlers and still does shows. And as a matter of fact, I was reading somewhere the other day that Bo Douglas had done a couple shows for Mario on PAPW.
Yeah, he was there, I believe, last summer, maybe, or the fall. He had shown up at one of the shows at the JCC.
Yeah, so Bo Douglas is a hell of a guy, one of my good friends, and
Yep.
I actually reached out to him the other day, and at some point he will be on air with us as a former NWA New England heavyweight champion.
And I also saw him at a Test of Strength wrestling show, which was run by Slick Wagner Brown.
Yeah, because him and Slick are really good friends too. As a matter of fact, Bo Douglas was he was the NWA New England television champion in 2002, 2003, something like that. 2000, somewhere in that 2001 to 2003 mark. And we did the Summer Sizzler tour, and we were in East Hartford. And that's the night that I had the restraining order against the Dark Angel. And Dark Angel ended up beating Bo Douglas for the television title. And at the very end of it, the decision got reversed because it wasn't on TV, so the win couldn't count, which I think is kind of bogus, but whatever.
Is that an NWA rule? That's not an NWA rule.
I think it was an NWA New England rule.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. He first started the NWA New England show Mass Madness, which started on public access at first. And eventually, through the years, it ended up being on national, regular local cable television. So he worked and got that done pretty well.
Yeah, to this day, one of the greatest minds, and a lot of people won't know the name. A lot of people won't know who I'm talking about. But one of the greatest minds in professional wrestling and one of the greatest producers in professional wrestling came out of NWA New England, and that was Mr. Pat Doyle. He had a mind for the business like no other. His way of looking at a wrestler and putting together a match for that wrestler was second to none. And between him, Vinny Capelli, and Jason Rumble, there was never a moment in the NWA New England that was not action-packed.
A lot of those shows you can go find on YouTube. They're a lot of fun to watch. You'll see guys like local guys from here, like Ron Zombie, being part of these matches.
Absolutely.
Knuckles Nelson, like I mentioned before. it's just a lot of fun to watch, and that was a really great time for independent wrestling in the National Wrestling Alliance as at the time period. It was a very underrated era.
Absolutely, it was. And the like you said, the thing about it is, um, there was so many people. I'm looking at their old roster right now, and I mean there was people like um, Bam Bam Bigelow, Vic Steamboat, as you mentioned, Tom Brandy, Vito DiNucci, um, John Cronus, Chris Candido, Gino Caruso, Ron Zombie, as you said, Demolition Blast. Um, the name, I mean, Hugh Morris went through there. Tony DeVito's been through there. Ace Darling. I mean, the list just goes on and on. Jim Duggan, Demolition Axe, the great Robbie Ellis, Brutal Bob Evans, Honky Tonk Man, Devin Storm. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on for the people that have gone through there. Scott Taylor. I mean, so they had a lot of, a lot of great names come through there, and a lot of big names in the business go through there. So they were definitely one of the top, in my opinion, top NWA territories.
Definitely at the time period. In November 13th, 1999, Tony Rumble passed away from a massive heart attack. He was very young. And his wife, Ellen, took over the promotion, as well as his seat in the NWA Board of Directors at that time period, choosing to continue to run NWA New England. Do you have any experience with this?
Well, I came in after Tony had passed away.
Okay.
As I had said in when I gave the synopsis of myself, it was Real Deal Joel Davis who had brought me into the NWA New England.
Mm-hmm.
And it was from that day on that I worked with them. And even though officially on their roster it says I only was there for a year, I was there much longer than a year. But if you look at like their official wiki page on there, it says something like I was there for a year, but I know it was much longer than a year, because my second year there, I actually started with them in 2000, and at the end of 2000, beginning of 2001, and I don't remember what year I left, but I know it was way more than a year, because 2002 is when I became the Tony Rumble Memorial Battle Royal Champion, and I was part of the Brotherhood for I don't know how long, second generation member of the Brotherhood. So I didn't have a lot of interaction. I didn't have any interaction with Tony himself, but Ellen, I did, meet her and had some interaction with hers, and I can honestly say she's one of the nicest people that I had the opportunity of meeting from a promoter standpoint, because she had a lot of integrity, where I can't say that a lot of promoters have that kind of integrity, especially nowadays. But she was a good person to work with, to work for.
Looking at their roster now, some of the names that are on here. Now, I remember the Trooper. I don't know if you remember this guy here.
Trooper Gilmore.
Yeah, Trooper Gilmore. The
That's
Kabuki Kid. Do you remember the Kabuki Kid?
I do.
Brick Bronski, who we just lost last year. He wrestled in Stampede Wrestling. He wrestled around here in the New England area, in the independents. He went on to become an actor. He just passed. I remember watching him in a promotion called IPW here, that would run at the New Britain Sports Palace quite often. Yeah, good wrestler. He had a lot of history in professional wrestling. Bam Bam Bigelow, Steve Bradley, that's a name you don't hear too often. Vic Steamboat, Biff Wellington, Tom Brandy. Let's see, Vito DiNucci, if you remember him. Slick, DC Dillinger, Chris Candido, Lenny Lane, Reckless Youth, Gino Caruso, as you mentioned, Ron Zombie, Bert Centeno as El Mascarado. If you remember Bert at all, he was a Savoldi guy. Jason Rumble, of course, we mentioned that. Ace Darling. Let's see who else we got here. Yeah,
Mike
man.
Hollow was there.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. This roster was quite an impressive roster for that New England area at that time period.
Yeah, I mean, there was just so many people that, like we said, that went through there, and a lot of what ended up becoming huge names in the industry. And it just it really is, worth mentioning that, like, people like I'm trying to think of his name and I can't think of it right now. That went through there. One of the bigger names, and for the life of me, I can't think of it. Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't think of it right off the top of my head. But I mean, it just Luna Vachon, for crying out loud, was there. She went through
Scorpio, there. Sonny Blaze.
Little Louie's been through there. King Sleazy. Just the list goes on and on and on and on of the people that went through there. Todd Hansen, who is now with WWE as part of the Viking Raiders.
Okay.
Gangrel and Christian. The list just goes on and on and on. As I said, the original Brotherhood, which was Tony Rumble, Rick Fuller, Eric Spracha, Knuckles Nelson, Dukes Dalton, Trey the Smooth Operator. Then there was the second generation of the Brotherhood, which was Jason Rumble, Rick Fuller, and the Dark Angel, a.k.a. Mickey Biggs. Criminally Insane, as you said, Trooper Gilmore and the Outpatient. Then there was Joel Davis and Rocky Davis. Double Trouble, the Eliminator, Saturn and Cronus were through there. There was a lot of people that went through that company, and just, I don't know, they were the Hillbillies, Hillbilly Jim and Cousin Luke.
Handsome Frank Stiletto, there's a name, if you remember him. Yep. Frank Stiletto. Don Montoya, that's another New England guy that was around that time period. He was everywhere at that time period.
The original House of Pain, Big Larry, Frank Gooley, and Joe Gooley. One of my favorite tag teams outside of Apocalypse and Armageddon, they were known as the Asylum, led by Damien Darkside. One of my favorite tag teams that came through NWA New England, other than them, was a tag team called Kappa Tega Kega. They were like a varsity club type tag team. And it was just, awesome how they did it. And then, of course, there was the Kingdom of Darkness, which was Damien Darkside. It was his second stable, Lando Williams, the Black Dragon, Vertebreaker, and yours truly, the Dark Angel. And then there was the New Heavenly Bodies that went through there. The Power Company. I don't know if you remember the Power Company.
The twin brothers. They ended up working for WCW briefly.
Yep. Powers of Pain, Public Enemy, Rock and Roll Express. The Seven, which was originally Vertebreaker and Apocalypse, but then eventually a few other people joined that group. Then there was Trailer Park Trash.
I don't remember that.
Then there was the 2K Club, which was Slick Wagner Brown, Louis Ortiz, and Jason Rage, a.k.a. Jason Rumble. Just the list went on and on and on and on for the people that came through there. Even such people like Captain Lou Albano, Jim Cornette. Just again, the names just go on and on and on. The legendary Bull Montana. Let's just go on.
The Spider Dan Quirk, who wrestled there. Do you remember him at all? He was a young kid. He died in a ring accident on an indie show in Connecticut somewhere.
Yeah, I remember that.
What he did was he was going for a move outside the ring and hit his head on the gym floor, and then suffered brain trauma and passed away that evening.
Yeah, I remember. I remember
Just
hearing
saw
about
his
that.
name on this list. Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
But yeah,
So,
so NWA New England, like I said, to me was one of the greatest promotions to represent the NWA banner. And I'm not just being partial because I did a lot of work for them. I truly believe that the amount of talent that they had come through their curtain and the amount of talent that was in that locker room, I truly believe that they were one of the premier NWA territories. And let's face it, they covered all of New England. There was no other
yes.
promotion that could say something like that other than
Right.
Tri-State.
And it's similar to what, like I said in the beginning, that basically Tony Rumble separated from the Savoldis, the IWCCW, which they were doing that at that time period, but they had taken such a deep dive, like jumped so many levels down, the Savoldis at that time period, that
Absolutely.
they weren't what they once were for the last like 4 or 5 years of their existence. It seems like, especially after the deal that they made with Kevin Von Erich for that world class name.
Yes,
So it seems
absolutely.
like for like maybe a year, there was that excitement of that, but for a while they were just showing reruns of territories that they had bought the video footage of, and then doing barely anything themselves. You know what I mean? It seemed. Um, so yeah. Now my next question is this: do you think the NWA could do something to where they can have an affiliate, say, in New England again, if they started up having affiliates that were in the area?
That's a great question. First off, I don't think NWA is going to go back to doing an affiliate program. I don't see that in their future. Um, I
I'm
wish they would,
I'm not
but I
saying
just
like the
don't see it.
territory system. I'm not saying like a territory system like they. I'm saying like, you know, work with associates that help them get, say, set up at in their town. You see what I mean? Such as maybe Northeast Wrestling in Connecticut, based out of Connecticut, or you know what I mean, which is a large indie in the area. You get what I'm saying? And they have guys from Northeast Wrestling that are making appearances in the NWA now, such as Wrecking Ball Legursky, the Now, okay, a couple other, and I think that's what's his name, the guy from Ring of Honor that's also in Northeast Wrestling, Matt Taven, Mike Bennett. So it's very possible that they can use a promotion like in various states, such as that, to come in and use, say, some of their talent, and it
I
would
mean,
make it easier for touring purposes. You get what I'm saying?
It's possible.
Yeah,
But again, those affiliate type of promotions, they're hard to run.
yeah,
Because you've got a promoter that wants to do things their way, and now they're
yeah.
put under that banner of the NWA, and they have to hold up to some type of um, tradition of the NWA, if you will. And I don't see a lot of promotions willing to do that. Now, I will backtrack a little bit, and again, not to you know put anybody specific out there, but if they were to do something like that, I could actually see maybe Mario and Paul getting in the mix on that with PAPW.
There's a lot of guys in there that I'd like to see go forward into the NWA. Anytime
Absolutely.
anytime there's an opening, I'm like, hey guys, you should check this out. You know what I mean? Like when they were looking for teams for the Crockett Cup or something to that. I sent a bunch of those to. It's like, look into this because could be their shot. I think there's a lot of guys in there. Look at guys like Kylon. I think that he'd be great over there. I think the House of Pain might be really good in there.
Absolutely. I mean, they got a couple people that would be really, really good fit for the NWA. But then
Mhm.
there's a couple that they wouldn't be a good fit for the NWA per se, just because they're not built for that type of promotion.
But even if they ran a show with a local promotion, such as a PAPW, some of these guys could come in there and work that show or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, somebody that I could see that is truly versatile and could maybe potentially make a huge impact on the NWA roster would be the Cure.
Oh God, yes. Yeah, I think that he's got a lot of potential to go really far in this business. I think he's a tremendous performer. He's worked places like AEW, and he's studied under Dustin Rhodes. So that guy, he is open, and he is a very old school guy as well, especially if you ever talked to him about professional wrestling. If you ever saw his journey, like on his social media when he was going down to train with Dustin Rhodes initially, he would post pictures because he would stop at, say, places that were traditional buildings that, say, the NWA or historic wrestling buildings, and post a picture out there, like in Greensboro or what have you. You know what I mean? So the kid knows about the NWA and the history of the great sport of professional wrestling.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he has so much potential.
You seem to have faded out a bit.
Is that better?
Yep.
So I dropped my microphone down. Yeah, he has so much potential. I mean, he's an incredible wrestler. He's got a great mind. He's got great ring psychology. He's got a great ring presence. And I mean, it's just what he's done in this business in such a short time is just phenomenal.
Right.
And I mean, I could actually see him being like the next Cody Rhodes.
Really?
The next Cody Rhodes, or the next. Actually, bad as I hate to say this, I could see him being the next Matt Cardona.
Huh. I think that he would be a good fit no matter where he goes, because he
absolutely
is just knowledgeable about the sport of professional wrestling, and he's really starting to get out there.
Absolutely, and he's making a name for himself. And like you said, he's done AEW, and if I'm not mistaken, doesn't he run his own shows as well?
Yeah, Blood, Sweat, and Tears. I went to the last one, Blood, Sweat, and Tears Wrestling. I went to the last one, and yeah, he's. I remember when I interviewed him that he wanted this. There's shows. He was like, I asked him about it, and he said there's always shows up in New Haven area. There's shows up in this area or the Hartford area of Connecticut, but there's never independent shows in the Bridgeport area. And he wanted to be a guy that started in the Bridgeport, Fairfield County area, which I thought was a good concept.
I agree. Another one that I think would be a great fit for NWA. One of the youngest talents that PAPW has, if not the youngest talent, and one of the greatest in-ring performers that I've seen at that age group. I got to give it to my main man, gorgeous Greg Baylor.
I'd like to see more of him. I think that kid has a lot of potential. He's a very good talker. Absolutely. And he's been in the business under a year, right?
Yes.
And he has, he's been impressive for the amount of time that he's been in professional wrestling. But I'd like to see more of him, and I'd like to see where he grows.
And that's why I chose him to, when Mario came to me with that contract, and I worked that into that contract, and that's why I chose him, because he's got the greatest potential out of anybody I've seen in a long time, for being so young and for being so new to the business.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to see, like I said, the NWA, there's so much that the NWA could do. I'd love to see them come up to the Northeast. I highly doubt they will, at least anytime soon. I don't know what their plans are for touring. I know they work with an indie out in, I think it's in Kentucky, where they're doing the Tried and True Pro? Is that where that's out of? Or they do Tennessee? Is that? I'm trying to remember. I know they
Good
run
question. I
shows
don't
down there.
remember.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember that they book with those guys, and they've run a few shows, like 3 or 4 shows with them. Power Trip being the latest one, and now they're doing Power Trip 2 coming up soon, which I think that's going to be a really good show. So keep an eye out for that coming up.
Absolutely. And real quick, touching real quick back on Greg Baylor. I actually see him in the next 5 to 10 years being like the next. He's going to be a mix of MJF and The Miz. He's going to be like that middle person.
Okay. All right. I could see that. I mean, yeah, I could definitely see that. I hope that the kid lasts in the business that long, as you're saying. I hope he has that heart for it.
I'm fairly confident he will. Obviously I've had the opportunity to talk with him many times, and he's got the heart for it. After he broke his leg, I remember a conversation that he was having, and I'm not going to say who he was talking with at the time, just somebody that's definitely got some stroke, if you will, in PAPW. I heard the conversation, and the conversation basically went like, "Kid, if you do something like that again, I'll get in the ring and kick your ass myself." And he agreed at that point. He's like, I've really got to focus on this. This is what I want, and I really need to focus on this and not do stupid things like that. So
right.
He's got it in him. He's got the heart in him. A big determining factor is going to be if the business is good to him, because that's what discourages a lot of people. They
Right.
get knocked down and they get discouraged instead of using that as a tool to move forward.
Is there anybody else in Paradise Alley that you could see rising, if you will?
I mean, there was a couple people that, from what I'm told, is no longer there, and I can't think of his name. I was watching him on one of their former shows, or one of their previous shows, and I'm told now he's with, what is it, MLW, I think.
Oh, Richard Holiday.
Yes.
Yeah, he comes back every now and again for shows.
I can see the fact that he's where he needs to be right now.
Mm-hmm.
But again, he's one of those guys that is versatile and can make a name for himself no matter where he goes.
Right.
So,
actually, I think he's an amazing talent. He really is. And
I just read someplace that he's got a big show coming up for MLW soon.
Yep. I don't know how often they run shows, how often they run tapings, or what have you, but
I know I watched it a couple weeks ago, and I don't know how far back it went. I know it was sometime within the last year, 6 months to a year, because Killer Cross was there, and this is post WWE because he had his hair grown back and all that.
Yeah, I know he made some appearances there since being released from WWE. Yep.
In case anybody's wondering, I'm drinking Zoa. There it is, Zoa. And Zoa was created by The Rock, a.k.a. The Rock Dwayne Johnson. And I don't do a lot of energy drinks, but when I do need one, I go to Zoa because that's the best thing I've ever had.
You're drinking an energy drink at 11 o'clock at night.
Now, you know me. I'm up all the time. It's like my 5th one today.
Holy crap. You're going to have a heart attack.
No, you kidding me? My heart's better than my doctor's. my blood pressure, I'm 230, I fluctuate between 232 and 238 pounds. And my doctor's a little Chinese woman, and she can't figure out how my blood pressure is 127 over 82. Every time I go there. Every single time. It never goes beyond 127 over 82. And she can't figure out how it is I've got such a healthy blood pressure.
All right. Well, if there's anything else, then I would say we just jump out of here. Actually, we're not going to be back next week because Micky Biggs is going on a tour. He's going to be a celebrity overseas.
I will be in Jamaica this time next week. This time next week. Probably just coming back from someplace, God knows where. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I actually leave on Saturday night, Sunday morning, and I will not be back for 9 days.
I will be here live next Wednesday, just not with Micky Biggs. So tune in next week.
You never know. If I have internet connection, I may just pop in unexpectedly.
Hey, I'm for it. Just let me know. All right. Don't forget to check us out on our socials, Facebook and Instagram, TikTok, and all that fun stuff. Don't forget to tune in to Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling this Saturday morning. Next Friday. Don't forget the Alley Fights, April 15th. Make sure you're there. We got a lot of stuff coming up. We're going to be back tomorrow night with Showtime, Marcel Williams.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Sorry I'm going to miss the PAPW show, but I have confidence that, Greg will do good without me there by his side, and give, Thomas the Tank or the Train or whatever he calls himself, a reprieve so he won't have to worry about talking to me. Because I already told him, he posted something on Facebook the other day, and I told him, I said, he said there was something about falling down and whatever, and moving forward. And I said, well, if I was to punch you and knock you down and step on your face, would you still be moving forward? So, he never responded to that. I think he's kind of scared, but what can I say?
We'll see. You're messing with Talking Tommy. We might have to. We got somebody to take care of you. If
the best thing about Talking Tommy is his partner, Big Daddy. If it wasn't for Big Daddy, there would be no Talking Tommy because let's face it,
Would you stop? All right, folks. We will get out of here. Have a great evening. Talk to you tomorrow.
Have a good one, guys.